Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, welcome to Life, Love, and Lipidemia. Today, it's an interesting day because, in my show, I have different types of topics that I speak about. Sometimes I invite a healthcare professional to come in. Sometimes I invite a non-health professional to come in because, there's so many things that we can learn from people from different kinds of professions. But the week where I get to speak to someone from the pharmacy industry usually excites me a lot, especially if I kind of knew that person from school. That's and that is actually our guest for this afternoon, Ben Laurence, and today we're going to talk about careers in pharmacy. So a lot of us start as practicing, right? Because that's what our school trains us to do. And what happens after that then? When do you start to get itchy? When do you decide to move? When do you not decide to move? How do you decide to do something different compared to what everyone else is doing? What's job satisfaction mean to you? So today we're going to chat with Kevin. Let's see what we can learn from him. Welcome to the 15th. It's 15 episodes. Welcome to the 15th episode of Life, Love, and Lipidemia. Yo.
Hi, Sean.
Hey, hi. Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, right now you're in Indonesia, right?
Yes, I'm in Indonesia. So actually, I'm based in Bandung. I was born in Jakarta, but then my parents moved to Bandung, and then after that, I got shipped off to Singapore in 1998, a bit before the riot. So when I was in Singapore, basically my parents were actually staying in a hotel because they were afraid of the riot, the 98 riot. It was quite bad.
So they brought you here, and then that was how old actually?
So I was 11. I was about 11 years old. So I just finished primary 4, going to primary 5. And then I was staying in my aunt's house. So she was actually running a sort of like a home hostel. She has about 10 over kids. So I was one of them.
Wow.
It was a totally new environment. I mean, I came a bit earlier in 97, but I wasn't ready. So we waited 1 year, and then they shipped me off there.
What was the transition like? Was it difficult?
Wow, very. I don't speak Chinese, but my mother tongue, I selected Chinese stuff. So I went through a lot of tuition. So actually, in Indonesia, right, basically our academic year starts from August or July. It's just like university academic year. So and then it ends by the June. So I came into Singapore in July 1998. And then after that, I was studying and training myself because we need to go through school examination, in order to go inside the school. So we have to go through tests. So I took about 5 to 6 months to study. So everything was in English because in Indonesia, right, all the subjects are in Bahasa except for English, and they don't teach Chinese in school because during that period, Suharto's period, they were actually quite anti-Chinese. So actually, my surname is actually Liu, Andy Lau. But it got hidden under Laurence, you see, Lau. So actually, sometimes I'll joke around. Hey, Liu Tehua is my relative. The same surname. Actually, Felicia has the same surname as me, but hers end up as Liew.
Oh.
Right? Yeah. So we were actually a lot of people are quite concerned. Chinese are very concerned. So we hide a lot of our Chinese surname. Like maybe you heard about Salim, Halim, right? Their surname is actually Lim. So like the Indomie producer, right? His Salim group is actually Lim Sao Liang. His name. Yeah. So actually that's different. Then after I've got a friend, right? His surname is Tan Diono. So his Chinese name is actually Chen Tan.
Oh.
So you get a flavor, like how actually Indian surname, right, will actually determine what's their casta. You know, they were the Brahmin. They are what you can still find out what's their class. Yeah. Ours in Indonesia were like that.
So since 11, you were in Singapore all the way until
2019, last year, January.
Oh, until last year, then you decided
I
to
was
go.
20 years in Singapore. I spent more than half of my life in Singapore. Practically a Singaporean already. Just that I haven't converted. I'm a PR though.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was tough.
Hmm?
It was tough because you were saying about transitioning, being there, and then after that, even during holidays, right? I came back. The first time I came back, my parents were not there at the pickup place at the airport. So I was also I arrived, and then there was this guy. He said, "Hey, why don't I lend you a phone? You call your parents. Charge me how much? Charge me about maybe 5 Singapore dollar."
To lend the phone.
Yeah, in Indonesia. 被骗，被自己人骗。Yeah,
Anyway, just want to welcome some of you here. Hi, Hui Ting. Hi, Lachmi. Thank you for joining us. Okay, everyone. So I actually met Kevin in our time in NUS Pharmacy. He's actually one year my junior, right?
Yes, I'm 1 year junior.
Yeah, and it was actually at a time when we were running 2 big projects together, right? So as part of the freshman orientation project, so it's generally split into 2, right? Half of it is the pharmacy rec side, half of it is the freshman orientation camp, and of course that year we had pharmacy flag as well. That was our very first year. So that year was quite an interesting year for us. If you remember this guy, the guy right on top there is actually Kevin.
Yeah, I still keep the pants. I think I still have the pants.
You have the same pants. Yeah, what a year it was for pharmacy.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the blue face right there is my face.
Yeah. Because you just finished performing. While you were performing, I was rallying everyone. Wow, we need to cheer. We need to cheer.
The number 1 cheerleader.
Yeah. Luckily, I have the mic.
That was quite a day, right? We seldom, at that time we seldom see pharmacy students come together in a way that's so tightly knit, and probably one of the most memorable days of my pharmacy time. Then of course we did quite well that year, but and that's his hairy leg up there. But really the biggest memory was the entire experience that we created for the freshies. Yeah, I mean that we were kind of like seniors already at that time. What's your favorite memory from this entire thing?
Actually, it was the rallying part. Rallying was very good, and of course, the freshman orientation camp itself, we actually had we had a kind of like a blind date kind of thing. We cover people's eye. We matchmake them. It's a very popular game in our freshman orientation year, right? So actually, we use a plastic bag. The black color plastic bag. We cut it and then we just tie it. It's very simple, just to prevent people from looking. Someone was allergic to it, and we have to have me and my vice director have to drive her to CGH because she was having asthma attack.
Oh man! Okay, yeah, shouldn't laugh, but wow, quite experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it hopefully we left some sort of a legacy that future batches, right? Which is what we always wanted to do, where pharmacy students can actually feel proud of who you are, the course that you are in, and at least start your pharmacy life on a much better note, a much higher note. I was just curious, because for our time, right? Maybe it is still true now. Studies are like a really huge part of our pharmacy life in school. Not many people want to take up project like this. I took it up because I wanted people to feel proud of of being in pharmacy and in front of the whole school. Why would you take up a project like this?
I think I love it. I just love it. I just love meeting new people. I think it's just in my blood. I just need to meet new people.
So you
Because
want to meet people and
I'm
you
a
took up.
Sagittarius. I'm a Sagittarius also. I'm like a wild horse. I'm a horse. I mean, it's in me. I think Cheryl Chow was the previous one. She was the previous director. So everyone interviewed. So I thought, let's give it a shot. Why not? I think at the end of the day, right? Key goal is to be able to orientate the juniors back into the whole system, and to introduce them what pharmacy class is about, who your seniors are, and we are going to make your days in school fun also. I think that's the most important thing.
Oh, we tried very hard to deliver that kind of mood, that kind of energy.
Yeah.
Speaking of Cheryl Chow, actually that year, I was rec director. You were FOC orientation. Cheryl was flag director.
Oh, yeah. She is. And that was a very well done job, I think, that year.
Very first flag director. I have great respect for her.
Yeah, it goes to shows that if we coordinate, we can deliver.
Have to work together. Find a way to work
together. Yeah, work together. I think that's very important.
Yeah. Okay, so that was in pharmacy, and after you graduated, I know you went on to manage huge amounts of money in your huge amounts of assets for your organization. What was the path like after school?
Okay, so after I graduated, I actually I went to this Guardian Health and Beauty to get my preceptorship done.
So you got your license lah?
License, pre-reg, sorry, not preceptorship. Oh, yeah, pre-reg. So actually, I was about to sign on, but for one of the continuing pharmacy education, which took place in Toa Payoh, I decided, okay, I don't want to listen really first. I'm very tired because I there's a quite good food outside. that's always the food. Pharma company, right? Always give food. Okay, okay lah. I'm very hungry. I want to go eat lah. So go and eat. And then after that, the national sales manager of Servier, it's a company that does the Micron, Coversil, Coralan. So I said, hey boy, you want to come for interview or not? Okay, are you interested? And I'm like, okay, why not? He just poached me, and then after that, basically, I decided not to sign on with Guardian, so I got a contract with Servier. So actually, was it difficult to find a job? Actually, if you really, life is unexpected lah. So basically, sometimes you think that this is the wrong path, right? Going out, not listening, not listening to the continuing pharmacy education, that's important for you for development. But turn out it's actually one of the best choice that I made to go out and grab some food, right? And then after that, I found a job. It's very funny, sometimes
you joined Servier doing what?
So I joined Servier as a medical sales. So before I left, I was actually the senior sales, supporting marketing also. So I was in the task force team focusing on the key product, which is Coralan. It's actually the Ivabradine. It reduces the heart rate through the funny channel.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So it's kind of unexpected because normally getting a interview role is actually interview slot is actually quite difficult, right? Especially if it's someone that you're totally fresh grad and stuff like that. So I met the national sales manager, and then she put my name in, and then they called me for interview. Okay. After that, during the interview, one of the sales manager was asking, hey, being a pharmacist is actually more high level than being a salesperson. Sometimes you're actually a bit like the slave of the doctors, because doctors say, hey, I want to go eat, let's go eat together. okay doctor, we have to go, something like that.
Well, that's quite interesting, right? Because a lot of people say that pharmacists are the slave of the patients.
Sales rep is even more difficult. You have to please when I went into sales, first thing they asked me to cover was the GP. So I have to cover all the GPs. After the GPs, then I went into private hospital and public hospitals. Yeah.
Oh.
So GPs are because they see patients early in the morning, 8, 9 o'clock until about 11 o'clock. So the only time that you can see them on the morning slot is very early morning, 8 o'clock. You do what we call blitz. So very, very fast. So you visit and give a reminder card to the doctors, right? And then after that, or before they finish lunch, or before they go for lunch. So you also have to give a name card and stuff like that. You have to, you have the clinic assistant. You have to please the clinic assistant. If not, they don't let you see the doctors. Doctor very busy. They kick you out. Yeah.
What was the biggest lesson you learned as a sales rep?
What I learned the most is selling skill. But I think the essence of selling in this sense is that you are not just selling the product, you are selling yourself. And I take it as a pride, not just to sell drugs because my management tell me to do so. I use my pharmacy knowledge to support whatever claims that I make about my products. I make sure that it's verified. I make sure that all the clinical papers that is used to actually support the one particular claim or one particular indication is backed up with proper clinical trials. Yeah.
Do you think the pharmacy education that you went through helped you do this?
I think I didn't go for FYP because I think I wasn't cut out.
Hey, I
I wasn't cut out, but it doesn't stop me. I got a better on the job training. I was dissecting clinical papers to see. Wow. I was able to identify what this investigator or whatever what this person is trying to claim, and the way that their craft language is they are trying to make sure that they are ambiguous because their result is suck. Yeah, I mean you get after, because I deal with a number of products, so I basically touch a lot of the products, whether it's diabetes, hypertension, and also those heart failure products.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back to that. I think it's very important that you build rapport. The doctors not just use products just because they are good. They have to be convinced also, and you have to give them a context on how they could do it. So what I was doing is actually I was running projects on doing on-site blood glucose testing, and also HbA1c testing. So we help the doctors find new patients also. Then when the doctors find that they got new patients, if the patient is suitable for the drugs, then they will prescribe. So it's actually, I would say, trying to find new opportunities for the business also, right? And also when I was servicing National Heart Center for Koralan, which is the heart failure products, I basically make sure, because the drug has evidence to reduce hospitalization. So basically every patient that hospitalized, I work with the doctor, they get 1 free month of medicine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because when you do these kinds of things for like heart center, or you do these kinds of things for the GP clinics, you're actually thinking about how you can help them to build their business as well.
Yes, but most importantly, sometimes when I do these kind of things, okay, for the GP side, because primary care, it's more like trying to assist them to look at how to catch the patients early. I think that's very, very important. Sometimes patients go undetected, and there is a lot of micro and macro impact on the patients, like kidney, and then you have your retinopathy, everything. Diabetes is actually quite serious, and also hypertension also, right? So while we are testing diabetes, we're also testing them for hypertension. I worked with the church before on a Saturday, on Precious Saturdays. I work with them. I help them to do the testing. Yep, I lend them all the kits, and then we work together. It's actually an Indian church, so a lot of them are actually high risk patients.
Okay. Yeah. Through genetics.
Yeah. So not just building the business, but basically looking at what can I support the doctors with, what sort of resources that I have in hand that I can lend the doctors to actually help them serve their patients or reach out to their patients better. When you add value to the doctors, right? In a way, in return, you are creating sort of a value chain, right? And then the doctors will be more inclined. I mean, Of course, at the end of the day, it's still up to the doctor's decision, objective decision, that whether this patient is suitable for the drugs. But at the end of the day, I'm still helping people. If I can benefit one patient with 1 month of medicine, that's okay. I think that's okay. Totally, that's fine. So
Do you
I'm not just mindlessly going
uh-huh.
into sales in that sense.
Okay. Do you think this kind of relationship building skills is lacking in pharmacists?
I think we are kind of we lack we lack being more active in promoting ourselves, venturing with other healthcare professionals. We tend during my time, I feel that we tend to be stuck in a circle that we're the drug expert. We control the drugs. But at the end of the day, when you realize when you go out to work, everything is about teamwork. Healthcare professionals work together in order to deliver good clinical outcome for the patients. Possibly we can work alone, but we are not the master in diagnosis, right? We can diagnose to a certain extent, but that's for minor ailments. But other than that, those difficult ones we still need to work with people. We need to have the understanding, the concept that it's a whole system. Everything is intertwined. It's true that you are expert, but so what? Being an expert and getting respect is two different things. Respect is something that you earn, is from the things that you have done. People respect you. So while I was doing that, I gained respect from my doctors. Doing a lot of those testing for the patients, giving medicines, running programs for the hospitals, I gain respect. So I think that they will always be reminded, if they see that a patient is suitable, then okay, why not? They put the patients on the medicine.
So a lot of it is about adding value and working together and recognizing their expertise.
Yes. I mean, like, even if let's say you have to look at medical device nowadays, a lot of the people selling medical devices are actually trained nurses. They even can teach the doctors what to do during a surgery, total knee replacement, everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So actually, a lot of these skills can be picked up, one.
I believe so. I think, frankly speaking, if you're talking about selling skill, right? Of course, sometimes you need, if it's really something that you really want, you have to be able to make changes and then be able to learn and adapt from it. It's not so simple as just you really want it. Was I born with a sales skills? Probably not lah. I was one of the most straightforward person. I know there was one occasion where I was talking to a doctor, right? I was still, I think, a year two. I was a first year, 1.5 into that pharmaceutical sales. So I was like, he's actually one of the a very renowned private cardiologist, and he used to be the head of National Heart Center. I was like, hey, Prof, can I take a picture? Let's take a picture, or let's go out for lunch and stuff like that. And then after that, but Prof rejected. And I was like, Prof, give us space lah. Like my product manager, what? Hey, stop it! Don't talk like that. Don't use the word give us space. Then I was like talking to him like in a friendly manner, like, oh shit, yeah. So I mean, like, you learn along the way, and you learn to craft your language in a right way. So yeah. So it wasn't. I made a lot of mistakes. So, but it's okay because you learn from it, and you treat it as a kind of a negative feedback, homeostasis process. Like sometimes when you have too positive, you have positive feedback, negative, you have negative feedback. Then you arrive at the optimal level, and there's no such thing as failure. It's just feedback.
So you managed to find that balance in terms of your mindset, in terms of your perceptions.
I believe I'm still learning it every single day. I believe that this kind of process is never ending. It's just like if we achieve a homeostasis process in our body, but when we grow older, maybe our homeostasis goes a bit haywire. Things go haywire sometimes, so that's okay. Just learn. Sometimes if you are too strict, right? We think that we have to be perfect. We have to must be very, very high level, but it's okay. Sometimes give yourself a break. Yeah.
So I'm just looking at some of the chat. Oh, Serena, my mom is here. Hi. And Doreen is here as well.
Hi, Doreen. I just met her for a session yesterday. We had a Asian Young Pharmacist group and MIMS. She was a speaker there. She is a very good, a lot of loyal supporter. She
I watched it.
Oh, you watch it. Thank you for supporting.
Of course, it was incredible. Doreen says, I think the ability to enunciate ourselves is an Asian thing.
Yeah.
Not confined to just pharmacists. What do you think? Ability to enunciate ourselves, or a lack of ability to enunciate ourselves. What do you think?
Oh, she said hello. Hi, Doreen. It was enunciate.
Enunciate.
Sorry,
is like, no, it's like to express yourself in a
okay.
clear way.
Sorry, my Angmo not good. Sorry.
Edwin is here as well. Hi, Edwin.
Hi, Edwin. Oh, Edwin was a dancer. He was a dancer in FOC, right? Sorry, he was a dancer in your rec, and then he was a vice director for FOC.
Yeah. Oh, what do you think, Kevin? Do you think this ability to enunciate or to express ourselves, is it Asian thing where we do it very well or we don't do it very well? What do you think?
I think I would say that it really depends. There are people who really are good in projecting themselves and showing themselves. It's at the end of the day, I think it's about selling yourself. It's about branding yourself. Some people, okay, in Chinese or maybe Asian things, like we tend not to brag. We tend to be humble, right? 谦虚啦, yeah.
Oh.
In Japanese, you also have the word kenson. It's actually meaning, it's the exact word 谦虚. So the essence is like always to actually, be humble. You don't know who's better than you, right? But I think I agree with Doreen in that context. We basically sometimes we don't have that kind of culture to push us to, oh, this is what I'm able to do. This is what I'm able to do.
Should we be more shameless about what we have achieved?
Do it in a subtle way, I guess. Right? I mean, if people ask you, then you say, right? If people don't ask you, maybe you can, if you really want to share, you can share it. But it's the way you craft your language. Like maybe
if we wait for people to ask us to share, then we share. Isn't that very passive?
Or you make them think that this is what they want to ask, and then you have the answer. Inception, putting the essence, basically like, hey, Sean, I know maybe you check the level first, how interested they are. That's where rapport building is, like sometimes when you talk to your patients, you talk to people, like, oh, you struck a conversation. Oh, what do you do for work? Then after that, people ask you back, what do you do for work? It's just a back and forth kind of thing. Try to
creating an opportunity for mutual sharing.
Yeah. We create a basis, or every time when I do a project, right? When I send an email with a new client, I always set it as a mutual introduction. So we set a context that everyone is on the same level. Then we're just sharing, not bragging, just sharing with each other. Can you tell me more? And you can use the language. I'm interested to know more about what you do here and here. Yeah. I wonder. The language. Yeah, the way it's tuned, how you tune the language will actually affect how people think.
Okay, so it's about setting a stage where you're inviting each other to share about your work. It's not about bragging. It's about understanding from perspective.
Yeah, that also goes into like networking, where when we are in group of people, so it's like, hey, maybe while you start, hey, hi, my name is what, then you start with a context like, oh, I have a family, very easy and light kind of thing. So I work as this, and then you don't go deeper into it. You just share, oh, I work as a business development person, and then people ask you open-ended questions. So then people ask, oh, what exactly, If the person,
we will talk about the networking a little while later, because it's something I want to ask you about as well. It's something you do very, very well.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that struck me just now is when you talk about one of the lessons that you've learned as a sales professional, which is that you're not just selling the product, but you're selling yourself as well. And I think this is something that's very interesting for not just us, but for a lot of pharmacists to understand and how we need to sell ourselves. And here's the reason why it struck me so much, because just earlier this week, I was speaking to one of my clients in smoking cessation. He's a very, very successful business person. And I asked him, so what have you learned from being a business person and having so many successful businesses? And the one thing he told me is this. He said, the most important skill you need as a businessman is you must know how to sell. But a lot of people, they forget that they are, instead of just selling the product, the most important thing is they forget that they need to sell themselves.
Yep.
It's almost exactly what you said. So maybe what does it actually mean to sell yourself?
Okay, so I'd like to put it in a context of a pharmacy profession, pharmacy practice. Okay. So if you realize, right, we always talk about patient counseling, and we give a medicine to patient and stuff like that. But oftentimes what we are doing is just, hey, you take this 3 times a day, this is your side effect, this is your what. Actually, we don't really counsel the patient because every patient is different in their own way. The context of how the medicine is going to work in them, or how they're going to take it, medicine adherence and stuff like that, is very different person to person. So in order to be able to convince your patients to take this medication, you have to be able to sell them the idea that this medicine or medication is good for them. That's actually how I see counseling is.
Okay.
I don't see it as just like, side effect management, medication safety 3 times a day, whatever. Those are actually not important. I think being a pharmacist is more than just being a counseling person. If we are not having the emotion or we don't have the empathy, we cannot detect how the patient is. We are basically just like a robot. When we are at that point, right? What's the difference from getting from a vending machine and talking to a person, a pharmacy profession?
Where does the selling yourself come in that whole context?
So selling yourself comes in when you have to build rapport with your patients and you have to convince them that this medicine is good for them. You have to be able to sell that. Because most of them, what's so good about this medicine? Why do I need to take it? There's a lot of resistance. A lot of them actually, in fact, they decided not to take it, or maybe they take half dose. Then after that, they come back to the patients, come back to the doctor, and then they realize that, your condition is not well controlled. Then you have to up titrate the medication. There's quite common incidences. So
selling the reason why it's important rather than selling the product itself.
Yes, but
is there an importance of personal branding of the farmer?
Of course.
It's when the reason why, but the individual himself who is presenting in front of the patient, the character of the person, the style of the person, do you think that's important?
Of course, that's very much important, because that's exactly who we are both human beings, right? A patient and a pharmacist. If you are whoever that the patient is looking at directly is you. How are you going to change their life? You have to look at the patient's perspective. You are looking at patient's position. So you have to think from their point of view, like how can I add value to them? So by thinking about that, how to add value, and then you try to brand yourself and sell yourself, you combine all this information together, try to propose something that is suitable for the patient, meet the patient's needs, and create value for them. Because at the end of the day, right, if you don't do that, basically you can't really achieve what you want to do. Wow, I see Doreen's.
Let me just read Doreen's comment, because it's pretty interesting. Doreen says, how to sell yourself. First, seek to understand, then be understood. All right. Just like Kevin's example, if you tell the patient what he or she already knows, they won't be interested. And let me just talk about this one first, because I might be wrong, But in my experience, most patients that I see are able to understand the label. Most people are able to read the label. Not all. I will concede, not all. Right?
Yes.
But most people are able to read the label. And not just about staying relevant, but truly adding value has to go beyond telling them what's on the label.
Yeah, agree.
All right, let's take a look at the second point that Doreen has. Building of rapport requires you to first understand what the person wants, and brings her back correctly identifying the needs. So this, in essence, is saying that let's put it this way. All right, do you think that pharmacists as dispensers don't have a very deep understanding of the patient's needs and wants?
Do we even ask? How often do we ask? You ask for your IC number. What's your condition? Right? Do you have any drug allergy? Sometimes you have to go in deeper. You have to pry. I mean, it could be. I have a very funny incident. But I think probably you will know. But okay, there's a person who came in and asked, "Do you have a morning after pill?" I said no. What happened? So then after that, do you guys use protection? They did, but he used to broke friction.
I got that.
This kind of information you have to ask. You have to find out what happened. And I think we have to establish that we have that patient and a pharmacist confidentiality. Whatever that they tell us, we will not say that you are this person. Yeah, I don't know them. I'm just giving an incidence. This incidents could be happening also in the world, because don't know, and sometimes they're not educated. Not everyone has a good literacy as healthcare professional. Like, just basically, if let's say we are saying that, do we know about engineering? Do we know about how to write codes? Basically, we won't know what we have. We are not that strong in IT literacy, right?
So I think in essence, it's really doing what we can to make the person feel comfortable, make the person feel taken care of, and knowing that they can trust us. Because if not, they would never tell you the stuff that they just told you, because these are very private things.
Yeah. Agree.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's move along a little bit. And you were with Servier as a sales rep, all right?
Yes.
When did that come to an end?
I wanted to look at something different. I checked with the company whether they have a new kind of like role for me within the company, whether it's regulatory affairs or any other thing. But I think at that point in time, they're focusing a lot on the sales and marketing. But I think I was looking at trying to explore something different, which is why I took a break. And that was also the point in time when actually I met with my wife. She was actually from Servier, Malaysia. So in Servier, there's a rule that they don't allow husband and wife to be in the same office. So if I get married and she comes over to Singapore, she wants to work in Servier, she can't, because I'm still in Servier. So I was thinking of Servier is one of the point that where something that she's familiar with, could be a good company for her to start work. It's the same culture. So I decided, why not I take a look around, and I took a locum job in Guardian. For about 4 to 6 months. That was actually, every day I was actually clicking on job street trying to find job. Yeah. Then I went into a business development job, and that business development job wasn't easy to come by, because basically I was considered inexperienced. I've only got sales and marketing training. That was not sufficient for business development. Finally, there was a company that I struck that actually was willing to train me and to bring me to kind of like develop me, groom me to be a business development person. They saw that my fit was kind of like quite suitable, because it's a Japanese firm. I took up 4 semesters of Japanese in NUS. That was for my extra classes. So yeah, that's how I get to know a bit more. And it was rusty, but I tried to communicate. Yeah.
So that was someone who gave you an opportunity in business development when you had no experience.
Yep. Actually, the first round of interview, I cleared it. But then after that, the bosses, a new boss came in and he asked me, oh, he's a very orthodox Japanese, a conventional Japanese. He said, I have a very an impression that you Asians, you Southeast Asians like to keep job hopping. So the way I answer it, sir, is that sir, I'm going to use my my value to actually bring into the company. So basically, what I'm looking at is to grow the company as well to grow myself, and that is the commitment that I have for you. And a man's word is his commitment. So as long as I can still contribute, and as long as I can still feel that you are giving me opportunity to contribute, I'll still be here.
And how did he react to that?
Positively, which is why I got hired. Yeah.
So, for some of us who are listening in here and who might not be very familiar, so what exactly do you do in business development in general, and as well as for the company that you were working with?
Okay, so let me share with you a bit about the company. So the company is called Mitsui & Co. Mitsui & Co. is actually the Japanese conglomerate and investment firm. So Mitsui & Co. is a very, very big corporation. It's Fortune 500, and it is, I think, revenue of about billions of USD. Yeah. I think 20 or 30, let me check. Later I'll check. But yeah, basically it's a Fortune 500 company. So the idea about Mitsui & Co. is that they were actually, during the World War II, they actually are the kind of like the spy network for the Japanese. Yeah. So, and then after that, they, US won, and then they got too big, and then when US won the war, they basically break up the company in smaller firm. I was in the trading firm and also investment firm. So Mitsui & Co. Invested into a couple of assets in Southeast Asia and Asia Pacific, namely Parkway Pantai Limited. They invested in the IHH Group, which is actually the parent company. So they own Parkway Pantai in Singapore, Malaysia, India, Turkey, Acibadem in Turkey. So my team and I were managing close to 100 hospitals. We are planning for the strategy, supporting everything. Yeah. So
what's a day like as a business development person?
So I was lucky because Singapore is actually the Asia Pacific regional office. I was managing more than one country. I was managing Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, India.
Wait. As a new person, you just got the job. They let you manage all of this.
Yeah, I was lucky.
Why would they do that?
With guidance under a senior.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was hired to replace someone because she was actually a person that was from Philippines, and then she got a relocation program to Singapore. But her 2 years are up, and then she goes back to Philippines. I was supposed to take her role. So she was going to leave in about 6 months. So I took up the role. She guided me for 6 months.
Wow.
But it was a good opportunity. But because it was a Japanese firm, at first the salary was a huge pay cut.
So you took a pay cut?
Yeah.
You actually took a pay cut for the opportunity?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I was offered another role as a business development, but for a kind of like a healthcare IT firm. They were willing to pay me up to 5,500 per month with bonuses and other stuff. Yeah. But I thought that this was a good opportunity. I could survive with slightly lesser pay. It didn't kill me. I look at the long-term goal of what I can learn from this company.
Okay.
In serving myself.
Okay. So what was the experience like managing such a huge portfolio of stuff?
It was huge. Actually, so one of my first investment project is actually MIMS. MIMS Private Limited, the drug information, the health and medicine information company, the biggest in Asia Pacific.
Yeah, and throughout the time that I was practicing, I only knew MIMS as the one that came up with the small book that we use.
Yeah. You'll be surprised that actually MIMS is very, very deeply entrenched in the Asia Pacific context. So it also provides drug interaction, or what we call clinical decision support system, drug interaction system. It's embedded with the hospital information system. A lot of hospitals in this Australia, New Zealand, those countries that have HIS are actually using MIMS. It's actually the number one in Asia Pacific. We have close to over 20,000 healthcare institutions using MIMS. Yeah, GP
So,
Connect in Singapore is also running on MIMS.
so it goes beyond the books that we get.
Yep, yeah. So actually, there's a lot of perception, you know, like MIMS is not accurate because you get it from pharma company. Actually, it's the most accurate because the data that was actually that we got from pharma company is the information that is actually going to be registered in the HSA or the local FDA. So it's the most accurate. Any indications, any informations. So, you know, sometimes in school they say, oh, you know, BNF is good. BNF is very you know, because we are more UK trained in that sense, right? A lot of information from UK Commonwealth, but actually a lot of the doses or indications that in US in UK may not be the indicated, may not be the registered doses or indication in Southeast Asia. So actually that is actually you are doing a bit of off-label.
Wow.
So if you were to look at MIMS, right, a lot of the information are actually maintained by healthcare professionals, pharmacists. We have a lot of pharmacists in actually, Edwin is actually in MIMS right now. A couple of people from pharmacy who was from pharmacy schools are actually in MIMS right now.
What do they do in MIMS?
They do different roles. So MIMS for Edwin, I think he's more in the IT side because of his experience in IHIS. Gary is actually in the one managing the integrity of our healthcare information or health and medicine information that is going to be used in the drug interaction system.
Wow. So there are actually quite a lot of roles for pharmacists to play outside of the clinical practice side.
Yep, correct. So I think through my exposure in Mitsui and Co, right, I was actually exposed to many different things, and I would like to be able, maybe could I share my slide to show some of the you know, some of the people here while listening that what are the potentials. Okay. So
okay,
is this okay?
Yeah, what are we looking at?
Okay, so this was I came up with this when I was actually invited back to NUSPS invited me to be a speaker to share about you know, perspectives about what people do.
For those of us who are not aware, NUSPS is the NUS Pharmaceutical Society. It's the student society.
Yep. NUS Pharmaceutical Student Society. So basically what we are looking at here is that, you know, I see the perspective of what healthcare and you know, healthcare professionals and especially pharmacists can do from the business aspect of things. From what I can see, right, at the core of or the center of all in this healthcare business, we are talking about three people, you know, call the three parties or three items: patients, a drug, and a treatment, and healthcare professionals. But outside of it, you know, we can consider, you know, B2C business model, which is actually how many other things can actually come about. We can look at caregivers. We can look at TPA, third-party administrations, employers, pharmacies, clinic, hospitals, academia, distributor, wholesaler, etc.
Third-party administration.
TPA. TPA basically is actually a company that helps to manage your insurance. So basically, for example, you know, you are using Great Eastern. You know, you have a company card. Then after that, you know, your a particular clinic A is actually able to accept your company card. So insurance will tell doctors what are the things that can be prescribed to these patients. But TPA will be the one managing all the claims process.
Okay, got it.
Yep. So that's TPA. So then you can look at outcome data. Then after that, outside of the whole thing, where actually as employee of Mitsui & Co, I was actually in the business ecosystem. I was trying to create an ecosystem where there's IT, there's a startup, diagnostic testing, raw material. I was exposed to all of these things because I was looking at it from a business point of view. It really depends on where we are looking at. At the end of the day, if we are very much focused on patient care, what we'll be focusing on, what matters to us the most is actually the core business, what I term here as a consumer to end consumer kind of a business.
That's the C2EC, consumer to end consumer.
Yes. B2C is a business to the consumer. The end consumer in this here is actually the end patients, what I mean. Yeah. So, if you are actually in the C2EC, usually you have to go to the B2C model first, to understand how the market works. And then before you can jump to comfortably to the B2B model. In B2B model, you're dealing with numbers, you're creating a lot of different kind of perspectives.
So what, what does it, okay, most of us start at the core business side, correct?
Yes.
Some of us start to move into the B2C, which is the extended enterprise.
Correct.
Distributors, wholesalers. It's a very different skill set to move into the business ecosystem.
Correct.
What is the difference in skill set?
I think first and foremost, right, before we look at the skill sets, right, we need to be having an open and flexible mindset first. Having a open and flexible mindset, meaning that there are things that we can do as a healthcare professional. We have the skill set sometimes, but we totally don't use it sometimes. Like
what, for example?
Okay, for example, we have I think we have a junior, Kenneth Leong, who's actually working in KTPH previously. He was focusing a lot on the IT side. He created MediView and a few other companies that's focusing on IT. Now he's with Pharmacist. He went from pharmacy here, he went to the IT technology and data analytics. That's how you linked it. So
using your healthcare experience as a basis?
Yes, you use your healthcare experience as a basis, and you continue building, gaining the experience and skills to actually go further into business ecosystem. Because in the business ecosystems of the healthcare, there are a lot of other things that is not really hardcore pharmacotherapy related. They relate more to the day-to-day livelihood of a person. And look at telemedicine. Telemedicine is actually an extended from a pharmacy or clinics into a startup concept, bringing healthcare access to the patients. So at the end of the day, I would like to mention is that you don't have the skill sets, but it does not mean that you cannot gain or you cannot learn the skill sets. It's whether you want to do it or you don't want to do it or not. You want to do it or you don't want to do it. Sorry. Yeah.
Do you think it takes someone needs to have a lot of guts to be able to suddenly jump?
I think there's always calculated risk. I think if let's say the risk is going to go into something that not you're totally losing your income and stuff like that, I think don't be stupid lah. You also still need to survive. Okay, let's be practical and pragmatic here. Okay, there are a lot of things that pure guts can bring about. Of course, you need to be able to see the opportunity, but if you just go without thinking, right, then you are basically a bit suicidal. You need to have a certain guts, but you need to assess and analyze. I mean, as a pharmacist, we have been taught, how to look at patients, how to look at, clinical trials. Why not we use that kind of skill set? It's a very similar skill set. Change the context and put it in our career. That's also possible. Analyze the situation, which is the most important for you. Like maybe we look at medical device distributor manufacturer, what we can do, maybe next time you can actually do a distributorship of diagnostic testing material and stuff like that. You can even do what we call is a CMO, contract manufacturing organization. You can even do RAQA, etc. There's many things that we can do actually.
And that comes from recognizing the skill sets that we currently have and how we can be transferred, i.e. we call it transferable skill sets in different kinds of industries.
Yes.
And it's not just limited to pharmacotherapy and patient care. There are a lot of things you can learn from that to move into the different ecosystems. Like I just want to bring it up one more time because it's such a comprehensive diagram. So many things that we can do here. And most of us come into healthcare because we have this wish of wanting to help people. Maybe we don't have a clear idea of how we want to do it, but we want to help people. And it just really shows that there are many ways of impacting a patient's life.
Yeah. I mean, if we were to think about it, Sean, we can help patients at different aspects. Like, I was in the business ecosystem, I was in the investor side. So I was creating private hospitals. I was working with my team to build new hospitals to create healthcare access in countries where public healthcare is actually not sufficient to satisfy the market needs. Isn't that benefiting the healthcare ecosystem and benefiting the patients?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can look at other things. I mean, even for recruitment, you can say that, you're helping from a pharmacist, you become a recruiter. We have an example of one of our seniors who actually went into the recruitment line. She was placing healthcare professionals into the jobs that they want, placing healthcare professionals into hospitals. That's also you're also benefiting the patients at the end of the day. I mean, it's not direct, it's indirect, but at the end of the day, you can still be impacting the livelihood of the healthcare of the people in the healthcare system and the patients at the end of the day.
Do you think it's important for a pharmacist to get his license and practice first before moving out?
It's a choice. Okay. For me, I see it as a kind of like a branding. When I was in the investment department of the healthcare and business model, none of them are actually pharmacists. Very few actually are healthcare professionals. This is actually something that I used to set myself different from all the other business people. It is something that got me hired in the first place in Mitsui & Co.
Because you were a registered healthcare professional.
Yes, and I know the market and I understand market. I understand the C to EC business. I understand the B2C business, and I can learn to become a B2B business person.
Well, that just goes to show, right? I mean, the license that you get is important. It is, but it is just a license if you don't do anything with it, because you have the license, but you gain the kind of experience in different areas. You make use of that license to learn something, and when you put it all together, that's where you essentially created the opportunity for yourself to land the jobs that you got.
Yep.
And I say this because in the context that for many of us who are focused on practicing, what you are doing right now seems so high. It's so far away, and maybe it's time that we consider that there are also other options and what skill sets we want to pick up along the way to build that complete package.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I would also add on to what Sean says, like one step at a time. Did I gain a lot of the investment related skill sets in one day? No, I did not. I actually took a very, very long time. It was over 2 to 3 year periods where I started to strengthen myself in a lot of the other aspects of investments. I was zero, but I was willing to put myself and took a pay cut. Most importantly, I think pay is very important, and it was actually quite a good return of investment, I would say.
Do you think that it was a safer net for you because your family has enough resources? Because
Uh,
not everyone has that kind of financial strength that you have. Would you
I
say it was a safer risk for you compared to someone else?
From my context, yes, it would potentially be, but I think the pay cut wasn't that significant. So okay, maybe that for the when I was doing sales, I was drawing about 70 to 80K annually. So for this job, the annual pay was about slightly below 70. So that was the starting point. But they give good bonuses. So I didn't expect the bonus yet. So,
Mhm.
but I think there was also, there's perspective that I was having a lot of financial support from my parents. I do not deny it, because that would definitely make things easier. It helped me in a decision making process and helped me to explore things. I come to understanding, not everyone is as fortunate to me, and I was able to get this kind of opportunity. Of course, uh, a lot of it because of my parents and the support they are giving me. But also, I believe that this could not have been possible if I were just to focus on, being complacent. If I was complacent, I have enough financial support. Why do I need to work hard? If I have that mentality, I wouldn't even be able to explore these areas.
Oh, that does go back to a point that we spoke about early on, which is that the foundation is important. All right. I mean,
Mm,
like you say, if you just take 100% risk and just jump like that, it doesn't make
mm.
sense at
Yep.
all. Yeah. And in a while, we're going to talk about risk, but let's take a look at some of the comments. So Doreen says, "Oh, it's a very courageous move that you let your wife stay in Serbia, uh, while you went out to explore." And Jocelyn, jo, jo, okay, I'm not going
It's
to read it out.
Indonesian. It's
Yeah,
Indonesia.
yeah. Okay, maybe you can read out the comment and you can respond to it.
Okay, so she's basically saying that she's from Indonesia and she's actually
Yeah.
working as a pharmacy tech in Singapore. Thank you for the sharing. And do you have you ever thought about opening a pharmacy in Indonesia? How do you innovate and provide pharmacy services in Indonesia? Yes, I think, but I'm still looking it from kind of like I've been away from this country for 20 years. Everything felt very new. My comfort food is batomi and chicken rice. I can't find those kind of things in Indonesia. It's the same for my wife. She's a Malaysian. So basically, a lot of things are very new for us. So I would take some time to understand the market first. Like I say, it's like what we discussed, calculated risk lah. Okay.
Mm.
You don't just jump in, if you don't calculate the risk, there's 100% failure. Basically, you can still fail lah. Walao. No matter how much money. Sean, you're saying I got financial support. Yes, if I never think about before jumping, right? No matter how much financial support I can get from my parents, I also waste it, lah. Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There are people there with a Chinese saying that, basically, if let's say they are saying that, the family wealth cannot pass through 3 generations, something like that, right? Yeah, it's really true. I mean, getting successful from the first generation sometimes breeds complacency for the second generation, and comes the third generation. Yeah. So if we are not focused and basically we think that oh 可以赚 what we can earn everything back again. This kind of mindset, right? It's going to breed failure. If you already think that you are already there, and you are not you don't need to improve yourself, then basically that's it lah. You get what Chinese we call it 被淘汰, right? You get
Mm.
eliminated by the whole system.
Yeah. How do you maintain this level of this kind of mindset? Because with with a relatively comfortable life, it is easy to be complacent, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, it is. I mean, if Sean, if you were to talk about it, I graduated. Most Indonesians would go back and then help family business, right? It's comfortable life, but hey, here you got meat, and here you got car, here you got what? Here, cost of living is so much cheaper in Indonesia. Why not? But my dad created everything for himself. If I go back just like that, I feel that I'm not doing enough. So I feel that that the motivation is trying to be better than just what I am right now. I want to be able to come back home after achieving something for myself. That drove me and made me stay on another 10 years in Singapore.
Arguably tougher life.
Yeah. I mean, it's a rat race, and working for a Japanese firm is not easy. There's a lot of hierarchy. There's a lot of very different contexts.
Yeah.
Like they say that you have to be on time. The first 3 months.
Is it really like that?
I tell you, very stressed. You have to tap in, tap out. Same like in hospital and stuff like that, right? But they only give you 5 minutes grace. So I was late that day by 1 minute or 30 seconds. The moment I tap in, right, the system send out email because they give you a company phone, right? Because you're a business person, they give you a company phone, they give you a company card and stuff like that. So you 1 minute late, right? Send an email to my boss, HR executive, all relevant people. Dear Kevin, please explain why you are late. Very stressful. Every day I wake up 7:30. I cannot miss this train. Very stressful. If I miss that, I've really to think what's the backup plan. I need to think about taking taxi, taking what. And my office was in CBD, Asia Square. It was every morning it will be jam packed.
Yeah.
Until downtown line was created. I have to keep innovating on how to come in to office early, because the first year I performed well, but my boss said because you were late 3 times, that kind of dropped your ranking and you could not get promoted.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It took me another 1 year to get promoted. Because they have to wait for their evaluation, and evaluation comes once a year.
Yeah, that's where the appraisal is.
Yeah, appraisal. Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Hui Ting and Edwin says it's a very useful diagram.
Yeah.
And Serena says the courage and mindset to explore outside the comfort zone is commendable, and the positive results show. And to keep it up. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about this outside the comfort zone kind of thing. That and it goes a little bit into the part about taking risks, right? It's there's a saying that the biggest risk you take is not taking any risk. And it's then in that case the issue is how big a risk are you going to take. Now, I think for me, people tend to say that, hey, it's a huge risk that you took to come into doing the kind of work that you do. They might say the same thing about you. Why did you decide to take such a big risk and move out of the system that we were trained to work in? Well, for me, firstly, I never really exited the system because I still do healthcare in a way that I think makes use of my skill set and helps the patients in the best way that I can.
Yeah.
And the truth is this, there is a safety net, in my opinion, because if things don't work out well, I can still go back to practice pharmacy. Of course, I have to find a job, but the license itself is a bigger safety net than most pharmacists think.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I believe that's also one of the reasons why I actually still hold on to my license even after leaving practice for so long. One is to brand myself, but one is, what if I get fired? I can still go back to practice. I think it's not too bad. So at the end of the day, why not? And I think one important thing to note is that you were saying about not changing or stuff like getting out of your comfort zone. But I will look at it at another perspective. Life is always changing. We are saying that this is the new normal and stuff like that. But if you compare 100 years ago until now we still got we are not in the same country. We can communicate, right? This is the new normal for us, right? So what's new normal is basically things keep changing. So basically, it brings down to the point that if you don't change anything, nothing will change. People just keep changing. If you don't change, basically, you can't follow how the whole system or how the whole process is going. You just get eliminated, and then you say people will complain, wow, things are moving too fast, and so life is so difficult. If it's really important, if you really want to make something for yourself in your life, you find a way. If not, you find an excuse. Sorry for being crude.
Do you think the pharmacy practice in Singapore is moving fast enough or in line with the speed of changes?
I believe, because I'm coming from Indonesia's context, right? We have got, in Indonesia, we've got to learn from Singapore. A lot of things that we can learn from Singapore. In Singapore, I think we have gone into the specialization and collaborative prescribing. I think this is something that is not seen in Southeast Asia. Pharmacists at the level where they can, equivalent or even better than doctors in certain areas. We are not good at diagnosis, but we are good at pharmacotherapy. We are at that level. We help doctors and we work as a team. I think that's really commendable. Yeah.
And that's something that's not seen very much in the region.
Yeah, no. It's lacking in that region. I think Singapore has developed it quite well. And I think definitely there is other things that, we can learn from other countries. Like during my session, the session yesterday in Japan, they have a concept called family pharmacists.
I was quite impressed by that concept.
Yeah. I mean, what we need to understand is that a lot of things are based on perspective on concepts. We need to take note that things that work in other countries may not work in maybe in Indonesia, may not work in Singapore. In Singapore, may not work with Indonesia. Everything needs a little bit of adaptation, right? Yeah. So just be open and be flexible and adapt accordingly.
Do you think we are adapting fast enough in Singapore?
I think one thing that we need to take note is that we are in Singapore. We are slowly replaced by machines. We are too advanced. We are losing a lot of the work that but okay, this is in good light that we are actually improving the healthcare system, because in Singapore we do not have that manpower to support mass packing. And those pharmacy automation is actually very helpful. We look at TTSH, we look at SGH. A lot of the systems are very, very good, and it improves the whole, waiting time for the patients. Imagine patients having to visit doctor. They already have to wait half a day for a doctor, and then have to wait another 1 hour to 2 hours. They have managed to reduce the waiting time. That's impressive. Yeah, that's good. But of course, every solution have its pros and cons. How do we better develop our pharmacy practice? Back to the point, we cannot totally be emotionless. In terms of our counseling, we have to have some emotions. We have to be with the patients. We have to understand the patients. Just like, when I was in sales, I assisted the doctors in ways that I believe can help them improve their patient's life. And that resonates to them. When we are helping pharmacists, okay, because I haven't really practiced for a long time, maybe total about 2 years or so, on and off. But my experience from other parts of my life and the pharmacy practice still can be applied back into the real pharmacy practice. Basically, you need to be able to understand your patients. Some patients they do not have they don't have a proper job. They cannot buy medicine and stuff like that. There are people who are at that stage. Then why don't you, it's like from a pharmacy problem, why don't you take your medicine? Are you that lazy? Can't you just pop one tablet? Some of them are buying one tablet per day. Why? Because they are paid by the day. That's how serious their life is. If we don't ask that question, we don't find out from them, how do we know? We are judging them based on our context. But do we understand them? What rights do we have to judge them? Just because we are pharmacists? That's bullshit. Sorry the word.
Yeah, it's okay. Allowed. No worries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So with a bit more emotion and a bit more rapport building, that would be a better future, you think, for pharmacists as part of developing the practice?
I mean, unless we are at that stage, where we can create AI that can mirror how human emotions are, creating empathy.
Mm-hmm.
If not, the only way that we can continue being a pharmacist and serving the public is basically to be ourselves. It's okay to be to have emotions. You understand patients. If you don't show emotions, people will think that, no, who is this guy? Robot. Who is this person?
And you eventually be replaced by robots if you act like a robot.
John.
Yeah.
Totally. What's the difference? I mean, in Nigeria and some of the African countries, they even have a vending machine where you can get a medicine, right? But that context is because they have limited access. But if we are at that stage, where pharmacists are emotionless and we cannot develop, we'll be replaced by ATM. You just scan your ID, and then the ID will check you. You can buy this. What you can buy, right?
At the end of the day, then you have to find a balance, right? Because there's always this thing between building relationships, coming across as emotional, and yet managing the waiting time.
Yep, definitely. It comes with practice. It does not happen over time. Like, we have doctors who are very caring for the patients. They cry when the patients die. I mean, pharmacists also, healthcare professionals also, right? But we still need to understand that, we cannot be too down because we need to help other people. You have to be able to take care of yourself. It's a balance. You learn from it. It's an everyday thing. And sometimes showing your emotion doesn't mean you're weak.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that makes you human. It's a cliche, but yeah, it's true, I think.
I think so too, because when you show that you're human, you bring yourself down to the level of the patient. And by the level of the patient, I don't mean that the patients are of a lower class, not by any means. But because as a professional, especially if you're wearing your white coat, you are seen as the expert.
Yeah.
And that gives you the credibility. But you have to find a way to bring yourself down to speak to them at the same level as they are at. So I mean, I see part of building trust and building rapport as being able to do that well. And the rest of the information will just be much easier to convey. And more than that, you create an impression or a brand of what you as a person is and pharmacist as a profession is. It's more than just one tablet 3 times a day, but it's the trust, the rapport, and the faith in the profession.
On that table, when you are dispensing, you have to set a context that is a mutual thing. You have to create. It's just like we are saying, sending email. It's a mutual introduction. This exchange of healthcare services is a mutual thing. I'm here to help you help yourself, and they are there. I'm presenting myself for you to help me.
Interesting. I never considered it from that perspective.
Sometimes we are behind the counter. We think that we are educated and stuff like that. But like what you say, Sean, we come into a healthcare degree, healthcare profession because something in us wants to. We want to help people. But it doesn't mean that by helping people you are above them, right? So I also want to share that I'm back in Indonesia. I'm assisting with my family business. We are in textile, but it doesn't stop me from helping people. So during this period, actually COVID-19, we are producing fabric masks. We are working with Buddhist Buddhist association, and we are actually receiving donation. And once we receive the donation, we will actually produce the mask and give it to the needy people. So let me show you. This is what a campaign that my
You have a slide to share, is it?
Yeah.
You have something to share. Oh,
Okay.
it makes perfect sense, right? Because your family is in the textile business or the garment business. So making masks it sounds like a decent opportunity to make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, if let's say I didn't have the healthcare knowledge, maybe I wouldn't think about this, right? But with this knowledge, I mean, social distancing and stuff like that, this is actually an opportunity to help out the public. So with a $5 donation, my family's endeavor to produce 12 sets of fabric masks, and then we'll deliver it to the people who are in need.
You deliver it?
Yep. We work with the hospital, with the Buddhist association, and we make sure we deliver it. $5, and then 12 a set of 12 masks.
For every $5 donation, you produce 12 masks to donate to the people who are needy.
Yep. So we were able to get about $2,000 of donation, and that's approximately 20 million rupiah, and we were able to make a difference. And we were able to produce 3,600 of fabric masks, and then we spend the leftover for purchasing essential food ingredients, because a lot of poor people, they cannot work, during the social distancing measure. They basically don't have any work and they cannot get any money. So we are giving this donation. So we are giving it up to people, who are working, in the kampong areas, essential people. Yeah.
But it goes to show, right, that at the end of the day, it's for everything that you have is the intentions and the values and the that you pick up as in your entire journey, and especially as healthcare professionals, most of us who start off as healthcare professionals, we are in a perfect environment to be able to understand this perspective from the ground. Right. Now, one thing I want to discuss, which is when we spoke earlier on building rapport and having something mutual before you have a conversation, that comes to this idea of networking.
Yeah.
And networking is something that it doesn't come naturally to me. I won't say for everyone else, right? I would say it doesn't come naturally to me, and I suspect many other pharmacists as well. It's extremely uncomfortable, absolutely terrifying. But I mean, I've come to the point where if I have to do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Right. You seem to be doing it very well. I've seen pictures where you are networking with President Halima, Ministers Lawrence Wong, Gan Kim Yong, Ong Ye Kang, even Dr. Mahathir and Mr. Taman. Firstly, how do you get to meet? How do you get to be in the position to meet all these distinguished people?
Okay, so it was actually back in the days of NUS where I participated actively in Medical Alumni Association. Medical Alumni Association is actually a congregate of pharmacists, dentists, doctors, and nurses. So basically, different professions.
These are all graduates, lah.
Yes, but they have a student chapter. So the students chapter is something that is where I'm involved when I was in NUS. So Mr. Koh, our late Mr. Koh, the ICM founder, was actually my mentor there, and he was actually one of the key people there. So he was supporting me through my growth, and I was very lucky to have him. But the first person who brought me into that event was Kelvin Lai.
Kelvin Lai from my batch. My batch. That year when you were doing director of FOC, right? Fabric Orientation. I was director of REC. He was NUSPS president.
Yes, yeah. He brought me in there. So actually, I think it was more of a concept that he needs someone to be there a pharmacy representative, and active in the student chapter, because they were very welcoming. The process, it's more like a lot of people see networking process as to be able to get something out of it, an objective, gain something for yourself. I don't see it that way. I see it as an opportunity to build friends, and it's that group of friends. I'm still keeping in touch with them even till today. I've doctor friends are like, hey, bro, I need to ask about this. What can I do? You tell me directly. Yeah. So I mean, it's not just about how you say. It's not just about gaining something. Why do you need to gain something first? What is it in you that deserve to always gain something from other people? Why is it that you? Why can't you just be yourself and just give something to people? Does it hurt to give something and then to share something with people? Just be friends. Doesn't kill, right? And at the end of the day, once you become friends, it's not so much about I gain favors from you, you gain favors from me. It's about helping each other.
Do you have to be an extrovert to be a good networker?
It helps. It definitely helps. I'm a very extroverted person, but being extroverted is actually not very good, because sometimes you can't read the situation. When you're in a very big place, and then after that, you're like, whoa, rah, and then you're very rah, then it really drives up your energy level. Wow. Then you say, sometimes people can say the wrong things because the emotion drives the person. Extroverted people get driven by emotion. Yeah, introverted people sometimes, maybe because they're not so driven, they take a step back and then they process it a bit better, and then they can propose the right thing.
So it does help as well. Both. Yeah, it's a pros and cons kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Raymond is here. Hi, Raymond.
Hey, Raymond.
So the art of collaboration, practice of generosity, which is in essence what you were trying to describe, right? As networking.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Networking is scary for a lot of us, right? If you brought a newbie to his first networking session, right? How would you guide him on doing it the right way? What would you tell him to do or say?
Okay. First and foremost, it's okay to be yourself. It's something that set you different from other people. In a networking session, if you meet A, B, C, everyone is the same. Doesn't it get boring? It's okay to be yourself. To share what you want. You want to know about people, and you have to set a certain context that you're open and flexible, and you want to get to know other people. That's very important.
What do you say? How do you say it?
Okay, I think as I mentioned before, just now earlier on, we were starting to network. I think we have to be setting some mutual platform that that we are here to know each other. Maybe if it's a networking session, it's okay. You can start by bringing a glass. It's okay. It doesn't have to be wine, but it's like, hey, let's drink, and then you can start by setting a context. How's life and stuff like that. That's okay. Talk about all things. Then you bring the discussion forward. Sometimes they are just people that you can't connect with. No matter what, it's okay. If you cannot talk to them, then it's okay lah. Just move on. Sometimes you're not in the same wavelength. There are people who are there, I don't feel like talking to people. This is damn boring, right? They just like to know at home.
So there are one of the things that is very important in networking, and as Hui Ting's question on starting a conversation is setting the correct context. Any other tips in terms of starting, like first time you meet someone, what should you do or not do?
I think of course dressing wise, look polite and stuff like that. I think first impression matters, and of course, most importantly, be polite lah. Treat how you want others to treat you, right? If a person is, you are in a networking session, try not to be touchy. If you're a man, a very, very basic concept, like how you are treating a new patient. I mean, we learn about pharmacy practice. We learn how to talk to patients. We can start it using that concept when you're networking. Find out about that person. Yeah, you do avoid the medicine stuff and stuff like that. But it's like you can even say that, oh yeah, if let's say we are talking about COVID right now, oh I'm a pharmacist by training and stuff. If you have anything that you like to ask me, please feel free to ask me. Offer yourself, offer advice. That could be a way to start a conversation.
So it's in essence going into a session with the intention to give and to offer rather than to get something from people. And, you found that works very well for you?
Yes, totally. I believe that is also the concept that I deliver in that I practice in life. Like today, in LinkedIn, sometimes I just add people. Then after that, I reach out to people, and then today it was actually I received a very encouraging message from a student in Malaysia. She's a pharmacy student. She attended our session yesterday, AYPGX memes. So she said that it was very encouraging, and it gave a total different perspective of memes, because she has always considered memes as a drug information. That's it. Can't create anything more. But that session totally brings about and gives her a new perspective, even to pharmacy profession. So that was very encouraging. And then after that, we discussed a bit more. And she was very thankful that memes actually helped her with study. I said, then after that, I screenshot a video shot my memes app, and I show her that actually you can look at how to counsel patients through memes. What are the counseling points? How to diagnose the patients? What are the treatment? What are the drugs that is specific to your country for your memes app? Yeah, that is doable. Then I show her, and then after that, you have a calculator function in memes. I send her that, like, wow, I didn't know that. That's okay, what? I mean, even if it's someone I don't really know, it doesn't hurt to share. You benefit the person. That person can actually help out, turn out to be a great pharmacist, and then help patients in the future. You
don't find that it is not efficient use of your time?
Some people may find it that way, right?
Yeah.
For me, I see it as empowering the healthcare communities, empowering people. If I help others do better, it can in turn help the whole system, and maybe in the future it can come back to me. Life is very, very, very funny, right?
It goes one big round sometimes, right?
Yeah. Like I was a trainee in Parkway in Glen Eagles, and then after that I come about to become in the supporting the management team in Parkway and IHH. That's very funny. And then after that, I supported memes in investment, and then right now I am hired as an advisor to support memes. I'm adding value to them, and then it returns. People remember you for whatever that you do.
Okay, it's very true. It really goes one big round. Let's take a look at some comments. Doreen says, in response to Hui Ting's question on how to start a conversation, start with something that you've observed about the person physically, then strike some rapport, crack a joke, do something together.
Jokes are very important. Jokes are very important. Help to lighten the mood.
Yeah. But don't force yourself to be funny if you're not funny. Just be you.
Yeah.
Just be you. And sometimes when people ask me how I do that, I tend to call it creating a bridge. Those of you who are my students who are listening, you will know what I'm talking about. I create a bridge, something that you have in common, something that you see together that's common, and it could be like, oh, you're from pharmacy as well. What was pharmacy like for you in your time? Because my time, that I create a context, my time, not everybody can find a job or a pre-reg placement easily. I heard it was like that during your time. Is it true? And that's where you start something very light, very easy to answer, very non-threatening.
Yeah. I call it anchoring.
Anchoring.
Yeah, you anchor to a certain point, and then after that you discuss. And then one important thing is actually mirroring. If you
Yeah.
if a person, why
Yeah.
I say bringing a glass is because sometimes people bring a glass to networking session drinking. When you bring a glass, you actually set the context. You're actually mutual. Do whatever that person is doing. If the person is taking a food, let's go take some food together. And after that, you start the conversation. You start from the physical aspect, trying to model someone, and then after that, the person will find it. I think it's how our body, our mind processes it, our
Mhm.
unconscious mind, that that person has very similar context with me. So phew, and then you start discussing and talking about things.
And maybe this is something that
Mm,
those of us who are in clinical practice can
mm,
consider in terms of how
mm.
we build relationships with other healthcare
Patient.
professionals, because
And also
we have to come from a place of how we can help them do their jobs better, and
yes.
then maybe that would in essence lift the system. And when the whole system is lifted together, the profession itself gets lifted along because they realize the value that we can bring to the system.
Mm,
And
mm,
through by how we find out what the gaps are, it's probably through all these things where
mm,
the mirroring, the anchoring, the trying to understand their perspective of things rather than
mm, mm,
um and I'm not generalizing, but sometimes you come into a conversation feeling entitled that
mm,
you're the
mm,
expert of something.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it comes from a place of giving before expecting something in return.
yeah. Of course, there are still contexts where people trying to sell you something. Then you need to be able to notice that, lah.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but that's part of the whole thing, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
an experience. So you learn it, and then after that you strike a conversation. Even sometimes when people are trying to sell you something, you can sell them something instead.
Okay, couple more questions and then we will
Yeah,
do a roundup. So
yeah.
yesterday you organized a session where you had, I read, more than 700 participants in your webinar.
Close to 700.
Close to 700, and this is a
2 countries.
webinar that Doreen was actually on,
Yes,
together with some pharmacists from other
Japan.
countries.
Yeah, Japan, Thailand, Taiwan, and Indonesia.
First of all, 700 participants. You must be very proud of that figure.
Yes, I think for pharmacies is very proud. I'm very proud. And I think I'm very thankful that Doreen has lent her kind support for this event. Really, really thankful. And
Yeah,
a lot of people attending were very, very empowered by what she said. The ikigai,
yeah,
the concept of this finding the purpose in life. I think that's
yeah.
very, 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 very powerful.
It was very inspiring because Doreen's conversation was more than just what life as a hospital pharmacist is, but there was a big focus on values, on learning, on the mindset, and how
Yes.
to really progress with the correct mindset and what
Mm,
actually progression is. Yeah.
mm.
This is actually a collaboration between MIMS as well as the Asia Young Pharmacist Group, which you are
Yes.
part of, correct?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so the question that I'm curious about is this. You've
Yes. Yes.
technically left the pharmacy practice. Why do
Yes.
you still involve yourself in pharmacy related stuff?
Okay. I personally feel that this is a good opportunity for me to actually help improve the pharmacy profession. I believe that sometimes experience sharing is actually very important. Okay, actually, along all the time, experience sharing is very important. We learn from each other. If we don't continue to learn and update ourselves, how are we able to improve? We basically take in information just from a single context, right? Which is why, like, that session where we have people from pharmacy practice in community, clinical, sharing about how the perspective is, how different they are. Like, Taiwan could potentially learn a lot from Singapore, because Taiwan is at a stage where they have ACC clinic, the anticoagulant coagulant clinic. We have that, I think, a couple of years ago before we went into collaborative prescribing. In fact, this case study can actually be adapted and potentially be used in Taiwan's context to improve themselves. And maybe Indonesia can learn from Taiwan, from Singapore.
And this thing excites you?
Yeah, It really is. It helps. The act of being able to help healthcare professionals and pharmacy professions to be able to improve themselves to the highest level, and then they in turn being able to impact the patients, delivering good clinical outcomes. I think that while I'm not in practice, I believe that is what I can do.
Oh, that's
Everyone,
that. Yeah, I'm just looking at the comment. It's like almost exactly as what Kenneth says. It's about
yeah,
how you can bring up the system to help healthcare professionals, which in turn
yeah,
can serve patients better. Um,
yeah,
it is something that is pretty much what I have learned over the years, where being able to see the patient one-on-one, it does give a certain sense of satisfaction, right? Because there's
Mhm.
direct contact and you feel that emotional connection
Mm.
if you perform your role in a particular
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
But the other part of satisfaction I've learned comes from laying the platform
yeah,
for other people to become better at what they do. Because
correct.
imagine if you have one platform with 10 people, these 10 people will in turn help 10 patients. That
Yeah,
is casting a wider net, and you don't always have to be on the front line up on stage.
yeah, it's a matrix system. I mean, basically, like what Kenneth say, if let's say I can help one pharmacist do their job better, or pharmacy student becoming a fully trained pharmacist successfully, they in turn can help many more people, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I
Nice.
mean, one person cannot do everything, but everyone can do something. So I'm just looking at it. What can I do?
Hmm. The one thing that binds both of us together is actually a particular code that means a lot to us.
Yeah. Yes.
I've had this code with me since I was primary, secondary school.
Yes.
And let me just tell everyone the code first. It goes like this: if you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. And this actually stuck with me through all the extra squash training I had to do before
Mm,
as I
mm,
tried to make my way to the national team. Whatever studying I did, whatever goals I tried to achieve
mm,
in pharmacy, in rec, in career,
mm,
now in developing the programs.
mm,
Um, and it's always about willing to be uncomfortable,
mm,
willing to, in essence, try something new before
yes.
you can push the boundaries.
Yes.
Where did this code appear in your life?
It came about when I was working in Mitsui & Co. So I was actually, so because I was a non-Japanese, but I speak Japanese, and being able to get a promotion, sometimes it's in a Japanese company, it's a lot about, of course, you have to be networking with the high bosses and pushing you, Uh, I was at that stage where I was stuck. I couldn't get anywhere else.
You were stuck.
So I couldn't I was trying to get a new portfolio, trying to improve myself, but what I was doing was not good enough, or what I was doing seems to not work. I get rejections. So that was when it came about to me that I tried to do some self-help, and this quote actually came to me and it resonated to me, that if I want to have something I have never really had, so it's a portfolio that I've never had, I have to be doing something that I have never done. So that was when I actually looked at my contacts and within the company, and I reached out to some of my Japanese bosses, and then I asked them, hey, do you have opportunities that where I can develop myself? I propose myself. I can help here, I can help there, and then that was when I actually the opportunity came, and they needed someone to be sent to MIMS as a shareholder representative and as also a management team. So I was sent in there after the company interviewed a couple of people, and I was selected to go there and become a business manager in the management office, reporting directly to the CEO and COO. And what made it different is I went out of my way to approach my Japanese boss. That was something different. If I want it hard enough, I'll think about ways to, whack, to go and change, get the things that I want. And some people would be like, okay, maybe they're like, oh, I get rejection. Okay, then I'll wait and let's see when the opportunities come. Do you wait for the opportunities to come, or do you actively search for it? I mean, it's a balance. Sometimes you cannot be seen as too aggressive, right? Right. But I was on one-on-one. I had a mutual discussion and conversation with my Japanese boss, the one in headquarters, and he said, these are the things that I think I can add value in. Should I go to the Japan as a trainee, or should I go into the company? I have a discussion with him, and he said that your opportunity and your expertise lies in the company that you invested in. You can add a lot of value. I'm like, okay, why not? And I was open that this is actually a potential. You receive while you are actively looking for it, you receive feedback. I mean, if let's say you are totally a person who is like, oh, I just want this, and you keep doing it, but then that was actually rejected by people, then you are actually not doing something different. You are basically doing the same thing and hoping for a different result, right? Yeah. So you sometimes need to get feedback and then tune it accordingly and do something different.
And it's definitely better than sitting there and doing nothing and hoping for the best.
Correct. I mean, to the people who attended this event, thank you so much. And it's like, if let's say you really want to do something that you have never done before, but it's your dream, you want to achieve it, then do something different than basically what you're doing. You can do something. Contributing to memes, empowering healthcare communities. It's something that I really want. I want to be able to impact the healthcare system, but I cannot do it as a full-time pharmacist. I find it that I think I have better ways to improve it. Then I just think about the other ways to improve it.
Okay, Kevin. In a while, we are going to get your final thoughts.
Okay.
And when I think about what Kevin just said, that he thinks that maybe being a frontline pharmacist is not his best way to impact the patient, and I think that every one of us can impact people because we have different skill sets. I mean, are you good at something? Are you passionate about something? Or if you're not good at it, you want to pick it up. Are you willing to go through a little bit of extra effort to pick up the skill?
Yep.
And if you have that correct intention, you have that correct motivation, and if you do something about it, then really the opportunities are out there. Clinical pharmacy is how most of us were trained in school.
Yes.
All right. I don't think anyone will deny that the curriculum is train us to see patients.
Yeah.
All right. But there are many ways that we can impact people. All right. It is a journey, and in every journey there are struggles, but out there are huge opportunities, and we've learned there are 3 different sectors where you can contribute, and really it is not just patient care. And I mean, for me, I would like to share with everyone else that as pharmacists, as healthcare professionals, not just pharmacists, as healthcare professionals, you have a very valuable skill set, especially if you have worked on the ground for a while.
Yeah.
Because you see what many people don't see. You see what is really happening. And that gives you perspective to create an impact in a way that best suits your character and your skill set. Right. Kevin, your final thoughts.
My final thoughts. I think in general, life is always changing, and I think like this opportunity is also life changing for me. It's actually one of the first time that I have a coffee talk. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it's really heart to heart talk. And I've also been looking at ways where I can further myself in other areas. Like, I'm doing memes. Why do I keep doing other things? I'm participating in FIP, trying to see what things I can do. It's actually the International Pharmacy Federation. So I believe that there are things that I have that I can share with them. That's all. That's very simple. Your intention have to be clear. Different people have different drives in life. You have to find what is your drive. This Monday, actually, I was invited as a kind of like a speaker in my secondary school. So a student came up to me and asked, do you know what you want to do in life? I say, until today, sometimes I still haven't found. I'm still developing. Then I get the feeling that sometimes that you are totally lost, and it really sucks up to your heart, and you're like, oh, being lost, aimless. But you are not alone. There are a lot of people who are actually like that. It's okay to be like that. You do not know yet what you want to do, but one thing for sure, maybe you do not you know what you don't like. Eliminate certain things that you don't like. If you have so many things in your life, your brain has so much of processing power. Your brain can think about all the worst case scenario if you let it think that way. Our brain is very powerful. So we have to think like clearing eliminate all the small things first that doesn't matter. And then what's left is something that you like. Do I know that I'll be in MIMS as an advisor today, helping health and medicine information? No, I have no way of finding. I don't know. I was actually one of the worst student, one of the not so good students in school. My pharmacotherapy is not good, and right now I'm telling them, hey, this is the place where you can get information, all verified, how to counsel patients. I can't remember them, but I can give them aspects to help. And yeah, it's very funny lah. Life is very funny. Yeah. So just continue taking one step at a time. It's a lot of things, a lot of big jobs, a lot of big milestones in life can be achieved if you break them into small milestones. You don't have to do everything at one shot. So use the opportunity to learn, little by little, give yourself that milestone. And every time you hit a milestone, encourage yourself, you have done a lot, and don't try to push yourself until to the point that, it's a sprint. Life is a marathon. Take a break when you need to. When you're having exams and stuff like that, or you have a big thing, sometimes your body tell you that, exhausted. Your brain is burned out, overuse. Take a break, It's just your body telling you, and you need to take a break. It's okay to take a break. Doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you work, the harder you work, the better you are, the more efficient you are. And sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes taking a break is actually the best solution.
Agree. Okay. Everyone, if you're here listening now, or if you're watching this sometime later, I'm sure you will agree with me that Kevin has been very gracious in his sharing today. There were questions that I asked that were not easy to answer, but he answered it very truthfully, and that is in the true spirit of this entire series of conversations where the theme has been honest but hopeful. And I think that by talking about the truth and by sharing our perspectives and the way that we cope with things, it's the best way for everyone to learn from each other. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have to subscribe. There's no reason not to subscribe.
Be a MIMS member.
But guys, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. We enjoyed it incredibly. So let's stay in touch. If there is anything, just connect with us on LinkedIn or drop us a message, and I'm sure that we'll be happy to have a conversation with you anytime.
Yes.
All right. Okay, everyone, take care. Have a good weekend.
Have a
Okay,
good
bye-bye.
weekend. Bye.